she's not ready. Do we have someone from city staff there?
I know that I initially had difficulty getting on the call. But we definitely have an echo.
I have one too. Oh, everyone see her chat? She's having technical difficulty.
Okay. Yes, we can all mute. Yes.
I'm not muted.
All right, Chair Frank,
Yes, here.
Vice Chair Sanchez, Vice Chair Sanchez, Commissioner Chavez,
Present, Robert Sanchez, present.
thank you, Vice Chair. Commissioner Chavez,
Here.
Commissioner Dozier,
Here.
Commissioner Fearing,
Here.
and Commissioner Meyer.
Here. Commissioner
We have a
Dozier.
quorum.
Madam Chair,
Yes. Yes.
just want to make sure that you heard me say I was present because I wasn't sure if it was audible or not.
I didn't hear it, but apparently staff did. So that's great. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Let's have Commissioner Fearing lead us in the pledge.
Okay, hand over your heart. And join me. I pledge allegiance to the
Pledge
flag
Pledge allegiance to
Of the
the
United States of America,
of America
and to the republic
and to the republic for which it stands,
which it stands,
one nation,
one nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible, with
indivisible,
liberty and
with
justice
liberty
for all.
and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We'll now move to public comment. Item C on our agenda. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the Planning Commission on items that are not on our agenda. So do we have any speakers for public comment?
Chair Frank, we have 3 public speakers.
For items not on the agenda?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Please, can you call the first one? Do we have a name?
The first one on the list is Henry Sapien, followed
Okay.
by Pat Brown,
Okay.
followed by Janelle Ward.
Okay. I'll rely on you to call them.
Sorry, mailbox is full. To send an SMS notification, press 5.
Okay, we'll move on to the next one, please.
Hello?
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 Hi, this is public comment on items not on the agenda, Pat.
Yes.
Did you want to speak?
Aren't they gonna tell what the topic is and all of that?
These are apparently what I'm being told is you turned in a request to speak on items not on the agenda.
Oh, no, no. This is on F, B and C.
I see. So, all right. We'll be calling you back for that. We have to finish public comment.
Okay. Well, I know you just started because I've been sitting here. I saw you guys when you
So
first came on,
wait,
and
thank you, Pat. Let's
then
get
you
to
all
it.
left. So,
Thank you. Okay. Michelle, could you please call the third person?
Yes, it'll be Janelle Ward.
Okay, thank you.
As soon as possible. Thank you.
At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang.
Chair Frank,
Okay.
that would conclude the public comments.
Thank you very much. Moving to our consent agenda, approval of the minutes from September 17, 2020. Everyone had an opportunity to review any comments or corrections? If not, can I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
We have a motion by Dozier. I'll second. Can we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Dozier,
Yes.
Chair Frank,
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez,
Yes.
Commissioner Fearing,
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sanchez.
I abstain. I was not at that meeting.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on. Moving on to a request. Any commissioners have any ex parte communication on any of our agenda items? I haven't.
No, I have none.
Okay.
No ex parte communication.
Thank
None
you.
for Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you. We'll move to
No for
item
me also.
None for
F1.
Chavez.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said. Moving on to public hearing, item F1. This is the village specific plan amendment, tentative track map revision, and development agreement amendment. Planning and zoning permits numbers PZ 19-630-01, PZ 19-300-01, and PZ 20-670-02.
This is Kathleen Mallory, Planning and Sustainability Manager. I'm going to just let you know I've got Heather Davis, who's the contract planner, and she'll be giving the presentation this evening. Additionally, we have Corey Harpel with Oakwood Development, the project applicant. We have him on the phone, and he'll be giving a presentation following Heather's presentation. And then additionally, Corey has one of his experts, his engineer, on the line as well to respond to any questions that may come up. With that, I'll turn it to Heather. We'll note that Heather has worked on the project from the very beginning, so she has a good understanding of the project and will be giving the presentation.
Thank you, Kathleen. Can you all hear me okay? Okay, great. Hi, good evening, Commission. I'm Heather Davis, a project planner for the City of Oxnard, reviewing the village-specific plan, which is also known as Wagon Wheel. The applicant is requesting a specific plan amendment, a revision to the existing tentative track map 5745, and a development agreement amendment for the village-specific plan. Let's see, next slide.
Did she do it or?
Oh, hang on. Bad timing. Sorry about that. Okay, let's see, next slide, the one with the vicinity map. There it is. Here we go. So this is the 62-acre Oxnard Village-specific plan. It's located in the northwest edge of the city, south of Highway 101, east of the Santa Clara River and Ventura Road, west of Oxnard Boulevard, and north of the Union Pacific Railroad, El Rio Drain, and the South Bank neighborhood. Next slide. In September 2008, the City Council certified the final environmental impact report for the village-specific plan, and in January 2009, the Council approved the entitlements for the village-specific plan, including a general plan amendment, a zone change, and a development agreement. The specific plan provides infrastructure, guidelines, standards, and regulations for development of 1,500 dwelling units, that's a maximum, 50,300 square feet of commercial, transit center, parks and open space, including 2 public parks and a 12-foot wide multi-use path, and roadways and parking. The development agreement permits development over the next 20 years. Next slide. In July 2015, the city approved the tentative track map 5745 and the first agreement amendment. The tentative map subdivided the project into 17 numbered lots and 19 lettered lots for development, public improvement, and open space. The development agreement amendment granted vested approval until July 2035 and established developer construction of stormwater and flood protection improvements. And it granted fee reductions to offset the developer's costs associated with the flood control improvements necessitated by the new updates to the FEMA maps at that time. So that was 2015. The SEIR addressed flood risks changes since 2008 and flood control improvements. All impacts were mitigated to less than significant. In March of 2016, the city approved the first specific plan amendment to create a transit center overlay zone on planning areas 19, 20, and 21. Next slide. This is a summary of the project request. The project includes 3 interrelated requests. And we'll go over these a little bit more in detail in the following slides. So first, there's a specific plan amendment, which includes a revision to the land use plan, an update to the specific plan land use table, a revision to some of the development standards to simplify and streamline project construction review and improve consistency within the existing, with existing development patterns, and create an administrative process for minor modifications to the specific plan. The project also includes a revision to the previously approved tentative track map. This would change the land uses on the specific plan lots consistent with the specific plan amendment, would create new public lots to accommodate flood protection, would realign Highway 101 Ventura Road off-ramp and the multi-use path. It ensures consistency with the specific plan amendment and consistency with the Community Facilities District recorded documents. And it also update the update to the track conditions to clarify ownership and maintenance of public improvements such as the MUP, the multi-use path, the pedestrian bridge, the transit center, and lots N and O. And then this application also includes a second development agreement for modification to 9 sections of the previously approved development agreement and the first amendment to the development agreement, and an environmental addendum to the previously certified final environmental impact report and the supplemental environmental impact report for the village specific plan. Next slide. The specific plan amendment will not change the overall dwelling count of 1,500 units for the village, nor the required affordable unit count of 225 affordable dwelling units. The specific plan amendment includes land use changes, which we will go over more in detail in the next slide. Revisions to the land use table to be consistent with the proposed land use plan. Removal of the live-work land use category. Revision to the high-rise development standards, including removal of the towers, reduction of the building height from 270 feet maximum down to 100-foot maximum, removal of the rooftop recreation requirement, and the requirement for a subterranean garage. It's not removing the requirement for parking, just specifically subterranean. And then in the high density land use category, removing the requirement for a 2-car garage. For the park's conceptual guidelines, it removes the community center pool and adds court, play yards, the dog park, exercise areas. And then the specific plan also includes, has added conceptual graphics where for the village green and the neighborhood park. And then last of all, the specific plan amendment adds an administrative process to allow minor changes to the specific plan, such as correcting inconsistencies and less than 15% of the numeric standard. Next slide. This is the proposed specific plan land use map. The specific plan amendment includes various changes to the existing land use map. As you'll see in the left side of the project, I guess the, western side, switching planning areas 1 and planning areas 6, which is changing the land use for planning area 1 from high density residential to parks and open space, and changing the land use from planning area 6 from parks and open space to high density residential. Also changing the land use for planning area 14 from live work to parks and open space. I'm wondering, it would be great if I could point somehow for you. Merging planning areas 2 and 3, 7 and 8, 12 and 13, and 20 and 21. Reconfiguring the layout for planning areas 9 and 10, reconfiguring the boundaries for planning areas 15, 16, and 17 to match a 2017 lot line adjustment, and then removing streets that had been located, you do have arrows going there, streets B, G, and F that had been going up through planning areas 7, 8, 9, and 10, street going between planning areas 2 and 3, and coming up into planning area 17 as no longer necessary for the development. The proposed amendment retains a higher density on the east side of the specific plan, adjacent to Oxnard Boulevard, mixed uses, and commercial on-site across the pedestrian bridge over to the Esplanade Mall. Let's see, next slide. This is the specific plan amendment table 2.2. The amendment includes revision to the land use table to be consistent with option A in the adopted specific plan. Wait till we get back there. It was on the table, which was 8, slide 8.
No, I didn't. Oh, sorry. Okay, then. Michelle, we have some issues here.
Up a little bit, slide 8. There you go.
Point then. I'm just gonna turn this off. That's a funny
Okay,
night.
so this is the land use table. It will be revised to be consistent with option
You know
we
what?
adopted-
You know what? Excuse me. There are people
Yes.
that are talking over each other so that, Heather, you're not coming through clearly at all. So you're going to have to repeat, I'd say, the last 4 sentences.
Okay, that's fine. So this is the specific plan amendment table, or table 2.2. The amendment includes revisions to the land use plan table to be consistent with option A in the adopted specific plan and to be consistent with the proposed land use plan, while retaining the maximum 1,500 dwelling units and the 50,300 square feet of commercial space. So you'll see on this table, planning areas 1 and 14 are converted to parks and open space. Planning area 6 becomes high density residential. The areas I mentioned before that are merging 2 and 3, 7, 8, 12, and 13. These simplify the review process because these will be reviewed as a single project instead of 2 separate planning areas. The live work has been removed, and the sizes of several of the PAs have been revised to be consistent with the consistent with the lot line adjustment. And let's see, next slide. The specific plan amendment also includes the addition of an administrative process to section 8721. It's to review minor amendments to the specific plan. It's intended to streamline corrections of internal conflicts within the specific plan, correct clerical or grammatical errors, minor adjustments to planning area boundaries and other minor revisions, allow minor changes to development standards to address changing construction conditions, and provide clarification on regulation that does not change the intent of the specific plan. The Oxnard Municipal Code and the Village Specific Plan presently do not include regulation that addresses minor revisions to specific plans. The administrative process would still require review and approval by the planning manager or the community development director, rather than it going to planning commission or the city council for approval of minor revisions. Next slide. Let's see, revisions to the existing tentative map are being reviewed concurrently with the specific plan amendment for consistency between the two. The revision will also update several previously approved track conditions to be consistent with the specific plan amendment, the community facilities district, and the current understanding of ownership and maintenance of the public improvements within and adjacent to the village specific plan. These will be explained further in the following slides. Next slide. This is the proposed tentative map. It's a revision to the existing tentative map. It's intended to be consistent with the proposed specific plan. So once again, it involves swapping lot 1 and lot A, realigning the Ventura off-ramp and the multi-use path, and revising the size of some lots consistent with the specific plan amendment. Next slide. This is a closer detail of the revisions from the prior slide. So there you'll see lots A and 1 are switched. The off-ramp that had been coming down into the subdivision would instead be in the loop pattern, similar to the existing design. The lot 6 would expand from 2.15 acres up to 3.57 acres to include the former off-ramp location. The plan would add new flood control lots F and E. Those are the two slim lines that you see to the north and west of Lot 2 to accommodate flood protection walls that will be owned and maintained by the city with CFD funds. The plan also delineates flood protection improvements on Lot A to include low berms near the center of the park rather than flood control walls along Ventura Road that would be required if residential development was located on Planning Area 1. The map also shows the realignment of the multi-use path to meet Ventura Road at Wagon Wheel Road rather than south of Lot 2. So you can see where right now there's a line that comes between Lot 1 and Lot 6 and goes down next to Lot A and across Lots 2 and 3. That's the former location of the MUP. And so instead, it will just come down between Lots A and Lot 6 and straight across over to Ventura Road. The map also merges former MUP lots F and T into Lots 2 and 3 and revises the Ventura Road frontage south of Wagon Wheel Road. It would have a six-foot sidewalk and bike lane on the road, class 2, but would no longer include an MUP going up that side of the road. Next slide. The tentative map revision also includes revisions to the existing track conditions to be consistent with the proposed specific plan amendment to the CFD and provide clarification on ownership and maintenance of the public improvements, which include the MUP, the pedestrian bridge, the transit center, and lots N and O. All prior approvals will remain in effect with the exception of specific conditions of approval. So this is a list of some of the revisions. A legislative draft of all of the revised conditions is provided in Exhibit A of the Attachment E to the staff report. Track Condition 11 has been revised to reflect the Caltrans freeway landscaping will be maintained by the HOA with CFD funds. Conditions 23 and 29 will be revised to reflect that the MUP will be owned by the city and maintained by the HOA with CFD funds, while the pedestrian bridge will be owned by the city and maintained by the city with CFD funds. Conditions 24 and 52 address the transit center, which has been revised from its original concept to instead be privately owned and maintained with an access easement to the city for public transit center use and land use restriction for the transit center. The permanent transit center will be located in Planning Area 20 on the first floor of a privately owned residential parking garage with 50 designated park and ride parking spaces. Since Planning Area 20 may not be developed for several years, a temporary transit center parking will be provided in the Town Square mixed-use development that is currently under construction. Track Condition 52 incorporates input from the city traffic engineer, Ventura County Transportation Commission, and the applicant to accommodate the temporary and permanent transit center and ensure that the transit spaces will be available for transit riders as part of the shared use. The Caltrans relinquishment area near the Ventura Road off-ramp and adjacent to revised MUP location will be owned by the city or Caltrans and maintained by the HOA with CFD funds. And finally, lots N and O, which are located near the entrance to the village off of Oxnard Boulevard, will be owned and maintained by the HOA with no use of CFD funds.
With
The updated track conditions will also include new conditions 203 to 209, which were requested by the city to clarify development of the MUP bus pullouts, maintenance vehicle access, and police department conditions, which were absent from the original track conditions. The applicant has agreed to all revisions to the conditions. Next slide. This is a park analysis, review of the changes to the park acreage brought about by the specific plan amendment and the tentative map revisions. They will result in an increase to park acreage from redesignation of planning area 14 from live, work to park. Then the neighborhood park, which is PA1, is moving from PA6. That will result in an increase in park acreage from 2 acres to 2.39 acres. Planning area 15 was decreased in size from 1.7 acres to 1.52 acres as part of the previously approved lot line adjustment, which was balanced with the addition of planning area 14 or development as park use. And then this specific plan amendment and tentative map will result in a net increase of 0.67 acres, increasing from 3.7 acres to 4.37 acres. Next slide. The tentative map will also result in a decrease in open space, which includes perimeter and interior landscaping and most of the MUP. This involves 0.37 acres will be redesignated for flood control improvements. However, the flood control lots will be owned and maintained by the city with CFD funds, so they will still be publicly owned areas. Former lot G triangle will be incorporated into lot 6. Part of former lot 1, planning area 1, will be decreased and incorporated into lot 6. And the overall decrease in both the parks and open space will be from 7.42 acres to 6.5 acres for a net loss of 0.83 acres. However, the city will gain 0.67 acres in public park area that will be developed in turnkey condition at no cost to the city. Next slide. The applicant is also requesting a development agreement amendment to 9 sections of the original development agreement and the first development agreement amendment, which will be the second amendment to the original agreement adopted in 2009. The fee-related portions of the development agreement were brought about by recent fee increases approved by the City Council on May 19th, 2020, and direction from the Council for staff to work with the applicant to reduce the financial impact on the project. I'm going to summarize the development agreement items, and the applicant's representative, Corey Harpool with Oakwood, will go over in greater detail about the requested amendments. So the development agreement amendment will amend and freeze various impact fees until 2028, with no change to the vested approval until 2035. These include locking in capital growth impact fees, locking in traffic impact fees, waiving the new mobility fee, waiving the new park development fee, waiving storm drain fee, and increasing the air quality credit to full credit for construction of the pedestrian bridge. The development agreement amendment also includes updates to the solar energy requirement to accommodate more energy efficient technologies such as tankless water heaters, and authorize the community development director to allow construction timing flexibility on the Ventura Road pump system and the stormwater and flood protection. Next slide. The project has been reviewed under an addendum to the previously certified final report and supplemental impact report for the village-specific plan in accordance with the California Environmental Quality Act. An addendum is the appropriate document when only minor technical changes or additions are necessary to the previously approved EIR. The addendum reviewed aesthetics, biology, flood zone, open space, and traffic impact. The proposed changes to the original specific plan, the tentative map, and the development agreement would not result in any new additional impacts, significant impacts, nor would they substantially increase the severity of previously anticipated significant impacts. Rather, all the impacts associated with the project are within the envelope of impacts addressed in the certified final environmental impact report and the supplemental impact report, and do not constitute a new or substantially increased significant impact. All mitigations listed in the FEIR and SEIR remain in effect. Next slide. A community workshop for the specific plan amendment and the revision to the tentative map was held on August 19th, 2019. Public notice signs were posted at the entrance to the property from Oxnard Boulevard and Ventura Road. Approximately 680 notifications were mailed to the South Bank neighborhood, El Rio Mac, and public notices were posted in the community meeting room for Oxnard Family Apartments and the Wagon Wheel Junction Apartments. 3 members of the community attended, and there were no comments on the specific plan amendment or the tentative map. However, there was interest regarding the project density, flood improvements, and outdoor music. In April of 2020, the final language of the development agreement amendment was submitted and added to the project. Due to the amount of time since the August 2019 workshop and the addition of the development agreement amendment, a second community workshop was held on June 15th, 2020. The second workshop was similarly noticed and was held online due to COVID meeting restrictions. 1 member of the public attended and expressed interest in timing for the flood control improvements. The next slide. Staff recommends approval of 3 resolutions recommending City Council approval of the specific plan amendment number 2 and the certification of the addendum to the FEIR 0603 and the SEIR 1401, revisions to tentative map number 5745, and the development agreement amendment number 2. If the project is recommended for approval this evening, the project is tentatively scheduled for City Council hearing on November 17th, 2020. This is the end of my presentation. Actually, next slide. Blank that out. This is the end of my presentation. The applicant Corey Harpool with Oakwood is in attendance at this hearing and would like to present more detail on specific project improvements and proposed development agreement amendments. But before I hand over the mic, we did have a few public inquiries on the project. And would you like me to discuss them at this time or wait for after Corey's presentation?
Were these from the community meetings?
No, they came in recently.
They what?
They came in recently, so they may be people in attendance at this hearing.
Okay, so yes, why don't you go ahead and share those with us?
Okay. So we received a letter from Mr. Nielsen, who brought up 3 planning points. The first is that he was concerned that the 270-foot height of the high rise should be retained to allow more residential units. He was also concerned regarding the elimination of very high density land use and elimination of the towers. And I can provide responses right now on those items.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So the village regarding the height limit, so the village specific plan allows a maximum of 1,500 dwelling units. To date, 1,097 units have been entitled, with the remaining 403 units to be provided on planning area 20 and the high density lots, planning areas 2, 3, 6, and 7 and 8. And as shown on the land use table, the bulk of the units will be located in planning area 20 with a target unit count of 205 units. The existing village specific plan does allow an option A for up to 205 units on planning area 20 with a maximum density of 70 units. However, with the allowance of the MUP and the open space, the applicant determined that this allowable density isn't high enough for the building for building the target 205 units. So they requested the high-rise designation to be applied across the entire planning area 20 site. Since the FEIR found high-rise to be a significant impact, the developer does not plan on building a high-rise on planning area 20, so the maximum height was reduced to 100 feet in keeping with the surrounding development pattern. Therefore, a lot of the height, the higher height isn't necessary or desired by the applicant. The planning area, the very high density land use concern. First off, the applicant is proposing to increase the density of planning area 20 to high rise, therefore retaining the very high density on planning area 20 would be counter to obtaining the desired density and counter to the commenter's intent of a higher density. The very high density is not shown on the proposed land use map or the proposed land use table, and therefore would require a specific plan amendment to change the land use of one of the planning areas to accommodate it. And the commenter also commented that such should only require a use permit. Presently, the village-specific plan only requires a development design review process for reviewing development rather than going to planning commission. So it's already simpler. And then last of all, the towers, he felt the tower should be retained. The tower was only permitted in the high-rise planning area. With reduction of the standard to 100 feet, the tower is no longer an element. The two other comments that we received, one was regarding affordable housing. The question, the project does not propose any changes to affordable housing. However, I can give a summary of where we are with affordable housing. The developer is obligated to providing 225 restricted units, which remain affordable for 55 years for rental and 45 years for sale units, with 119 units affordable to lower income households and 106 affordable to moderate. To date, the developer has provided the 119 lower income units in the wagon wheel family apartments, and the developer is required to provide the 80 moderate units in the town square project once it's constructed. That's in planning areas 16 and 17. And the developer has indicated the remaining 26 moderate income units will be provided in planning area 20. The applicant is not proposing any changes to the affordable housing. And then last of all, there was some comments regarding flood control. I'm going to cover this just briefly and leave allow Corey to go a little more in detail. So we received several inquiries regarding the flood control, specifically the levee construction. The developer will construct flood walls, a floodgate and berms on their property on the east side of Ventura Road. These improvements will tie into the county's flood wall project south of the railroad. The village-specific plan does not include levee improvements. The flood protection
Does
walls
not?
to protect
Is that what you, I'm sorry, did you say it does not include
does not include levee protection improvements. Right,
protection?
those are levee improvements. Those are
Okay. They are what? I'm having
those are
trouble.
okay. The flood protection walls to protect the village development were reviewed under the supplemental environmental impact report that was certified by council in 2015. The tentative plat includes public lots that will accommodate the flood walls covered under the SEIR. And the development agreement also adds language that clarifies that at no time will units be granted occupancy without adequate flood protection. The proposed tentative map revision, specific plan amendment, and development agreement amendment do not involve new flood control improvements. I think you were asking regarding the levee. The levee is being constructed by the county. And that's the end of my presentation.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions of Heather?
Yes, Madam Chair, I have a
Commissioner
few
Dozier.
questions. All right.
Please go
Thank
ahead.
you. Thank you. Thank you, Heather, for the presentation. I just have a few questions that I wanted to ask concerning the CFDs. The first would be, with the change of the land usage, will that also change which type of CFD will be used?
There is one CFD for the entire specific plan, and it covers the majority of public improvements within the specific plan.
So
Does that answer
that's part of it, yes. The off-ramp right now, is it maintained by a CFD?
No, it is not. And I don't believe it will be maintained by the CFD either.
Okay, so the development or changes to the off-ramp will not be covered or impact the one CFD that's going to come into existence for this.
Landscaping.
The CFD is already in existence and is funded by, sorry, I should probably let Corey go a little bit more into that as well.
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
Do you want me to answer that, Heather?
Yes, please.
Okay,
Or do you want to wait for my presentation? I can do it after the end of my presentation, Chairman.
fine. Go ahead.
So the off-ramp will be maintained by Caltrans.
And currently is it maintained by Caltrans?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay. The community meetings that were held, you mentioned that which communities were contacted?
Okay, the South Bank neighborhood to the south, and the two, the 300 square foot radius, I'm sorry, this would have just been the adjacent neighborhoods would have been fully noticed. And there were public signs on the entrances, and El Rio Mac was notified. And I'm not sure, have I addressed your question?
River Park?
River Park was not notified.
Why not?
Commissioner Dozier, this is Kathleen. We have typically mailed it within the radius. It does not go into the River Park neighborhood. We have been posting. We have also mailed the notice to Supervisor Zaragoza and reached out to El Rio, Mike Barber, and that group, and that's the protocol. And so we have not noticed River Park, but we also have been receiving inquiries from River Park residents as a result of the signs.
Right, because it's kind of peculiar, or I don't know. It's hard to understand how South Bank and El Rio could be notified, but River Park not, because it sits in the middle of those two.
This is certainly, Commissioner, I understand. As a protocol, we've made a commitment to reach out to El Rio Mac and work through Mike Barber and Supervisor Zaragoza. So with the radius and where this property is located, South Bank has been the notified group that we've worked with based upon our current notification procedures.
So I noticed that, okay, with the contribution of 225 affordable units, is the developer also making a contribution to the governing school district, since there's not going to be a school built? So is there any contributions that's going to be made?
Heather, I can take that. Commissioner, they've just been paying their standard school impact fees.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Sure. There is no additional contribution, just the required school impact fees that they'd be required to pay.
And they're paying that, right?
Yes, correct.
Right. And the schools that will be impacted are in River Park, right?
I think that's the case. I don't have that right at my fingertips, but that does sound correct.
Okay. Because that brings me back to my initial question. Why wasn't River Park notified?
Commissioner Dozier, based upon our noticing procedures and the radius that we mailed to and the impacted community, we have mailed to South Bank. We're implementing our standard procedure of how we notify. So we have not been mailing, but I will make one other point. I just remembered this as well. Our notices of workshops also go into the INCO packet that gets distributed to all of the neighborhood council presidents. So the president of River Park, that's not the proper term, but that the lead for that neighborhood would have received notification of the community workshop. But as our protocol, we have not been mailing to River Park based upon how we have done our radius mailing, and what we are currently doing for that.
Okay. All right. Well, it would probably be beneficial if in the future going forward, River Park be included in the community notifications, since this development will impact that community.
I'm hearing your comment, Commissioner Dozier, and I just want to reaffirm also that the president of every single neighborhood council in their neighborhood council packet does get a notification of all the community workshops. But we'll take it and we'll take it under advisement in terms of the discussion.
Right. I understand. I also get that package, but that package is 60 plus pages of a PDF file that if it's not called out, a lot of times people are not going to, go through the whole thing.
They will.
My another question was, you mentioned that the developer wants to replace the rooftop recreation or remove the rooftop recreation requirement. And I was just wondering, what's the offset? What does the city get out of agreeing to that being replaced?
The applicant is still required.
I'm sorry, eliminated.
Oh, I'm sorry. The applicant is still required to provide the open space, the private open space for the development. But the code was written where it required that that the buildings in that high-rise planning area had to include the recreation on the rooftop. And right now, the projects are the existing projects are designed where they actually use that top floor of the garage for additional parking. But the projects, of course, are still providing the private open space for the development, in addition to the park space that they're providing.
Commissioner Dozier, if I can also add, when the specific plan was written, it was really reflective of a time and an age of, and an aspiration for how the area would be built. As development trends have been modified and changed, and as we have received a new developer taking over this specific plan, some of those ideas and concepts just don't make sense. Like, for example, mandating certain planning areas have to be built with podium housing and podium parking, pardon me. So we're really looking at the code to be able to still meet the intent, which is to provide the open space and recreation without dictating precisely how those requirements are to be implemented. And this is a great example of that, where it said it has to be, and instead of the intent being to just provide it for the overall community. However, it meets the intent and the developer can do.
Okay, and my final question is, will this be a Melrose neighborhood?
Yes, through the CFP.
Yeah, so- Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Big time.
Okay. All right. Thank you again, Heather, for a great presentation. And that's all from me, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioners, anyone else? Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you for the presentation. Planner
Davis.
Davis?
Yeah, my name's
I guess sorry, I don't know if it's just me, but half of some things are missed due to, I don't know if everybody else is experiencing that, but I'm experiencing
I am.
conversation. But onward we go. My question probably is related to the question that Commissioner Dozier had, just in the and it seemed to be replaced by a different form of space and form for recreation of other types. Is that correct?
You know what? This is not working. It's not working, Commissioner Meyer.
Okay. I'll put my question in the chat. How about that?
Oh,
okay. I'll look for it in chat.
Sorry, I'm having a little technical difficulty with accessing the chat. Hold on, please.
Commissioner Meyer, another potential solution, if you turn off your camera and leave your microphone on, your audio might come through clear.
There's his chat.
Okay, you asked, what was the community pool replaced with? Community pools are rare commodity in the city, so removal concerns me. The specific plan, or the town square development, was developed with a swimming pool that's shared between the two buildings and with the mixed use building to the south. So the majority of multifamily in that immediate area do have access to a pool. And that's part of the permit conditions for that project, that be retained accessible for all of those buildings. The amenities also included courtyards, a dog park. Let's see, there were exercise equipment and
graphics.
I think, I think that's the total of it. That may be also a question that Corey can expand on. I know that he has a graphic showing the plans for park on the neighborhood park on the northwest corner of the property.
Anything? Oh, go ahead.
Okay, Jeremy just asked, so the families will have access to another pool, correct? Yes, so the families in Town Square and Wagon Wheel Junction will have access to the pool. It's a, what was the Olympic size pool that will be developed on the Town Square property that's in the construction phase.
But others can't use it?
Not that pool, no.
But that's the only pool, right?
That is the only pool, yes.
Okay, so I'm just stepping in for you, Commissioner Meyer.
Commissioners, I just wanted to share, when the specific plan was developed, it identified a range of recreational amenities. It also looked in and drilled down to such granularity with some of the parks that after we started working through park maintenance and issues of community need, it was determined that some of the improvements we actually didn't want or need in that area. We all know, pools are, they're a hard commodity, they're expensive commodity, they're also a very large land area. So we can have Corey respond more fully on that. But as we started programming the project and working with the developer, from an overall community needs standpoint and cost to carry the project, there were other recommendations for other recreational amenities other than a community-wide pool. With that, I'm happy to have Corey provide some more context for that as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Meyer. Other commissioners have questions of Heather Davis?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Chavez.
Yes, thank you for the presentation, Ms. Davis. Just for clarifications, and maybe I misread it, you're removing the community center from this area?
Removing it from the conceptual of amenities. So there isn't an existing community center. This would be removing it from the list of conceptual items that could go into parks.
And the reason for that being why?
Very similar to the prior answer, that it's what makes sense in the area. The multifamily projects do have community rooms as well.
Okay, so there are, I guess ultimately my point is there are neighborhood councils and each neighborhood comes together into one location, and the community center does make sense to me.
Okay.
And then just clarification about the off-ramp. Its current route of the off-ramp, it is what you guys are proposing, correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question? It's kind of pixelated a little bit.
Yeah, I'm having issues on this side. The off-ramp.
Okay.
It's, you guys are doing it, you guys are requesting it for it to remain the same of what it is now, right? The U shape to exit?
Similar, a similar design. it would come down and then it would have a stop and then head out to Ventura Road. And that is something that I'm aware that Corey was going to cover in more detail as well for the off-ramp redesign.
Okay.
Commissioner Chavez, this is Jeff Fengeli, Interim Community Development Director. That's a new off-ramp. It's in a similar configuration to what's out there now. It will meet all the current Caltrans standards for super elevation and other safety features, but it's a rebuilt off-ramp. The shape will not follow the previous map where it went into the development. It'll instead make that 180-degree turn that you see.
It will or will not?
It will.
I can't understand this plan.
There's a good slide up now where you see the red line that depicted the off-ramp proceeding towards Saddle Street. However, in the current the proposed configuration, it's going to loop back similar to what it does today, but it's a new off-ramp, a new current Caltrans standard off-ramp.
So what was the reasoning for not having it enter into Wagon Wheel and instead continue ultimately the same design?
That's Corey can address that, some of those design problems with extending it through the development. It kind of cut off the part of the development closer to Ventura Road, and it created some concerns for traffic and road noise. I understand, I don't have our traffic here with us, but I understand there were some concerns about control of the signals at the termination of that ramp, and would terminating within the development render the any signalization there under Caltrans control instead of city control. But there is quite a few other factors in that Corey Harple can illuminate for you.
Okay. Madam Chair, I saw your chat and I completely agree.
Yeah. I don't know if staff saw my chat, but this is what it says. This is torture. I think we should recess and do the rest at a special meeting. This is too important to have all these communication difficulties. I know there may be some urgency to getting this through, but technologically, this is just not working well. I mean,
Chair
I have a
Frank,
lot of
this is
questions. Yeah.
Chair Frank, this is Scott Bullwoods.
It's who?
We can
I
cover
can't even.
that.
I'm sorry. What?
Sorry, this is Scott.
It's Scott, Commissioner.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
We can continue both of these items to what was your next regularly scheduled planning commission meeting, which is October 15th.
Perfect. Do we have anything on our agenda for that meeting already?
No, it would only be these two items.
Yeah, I think that would be better. And that way we can get the technical difficulties worked out. Honestly, this is just too important and it's too big to have our communications compromised.
Okay. To facilitate this, we would need an official vote from the planning commission, so a motion to continue it.
I'll make a motion to
that meeting?
continue. I'll make a motion to continue to a date certain, October 15.
Second.
And
Okay, we have a motion by Frank, a second by Dozier. Roll call.
We'd like to make the if they have them.
Okay, roll call. Hello?
Sorry, Chair Frank, we had to move the phone around.
I think it's our point exactly.
Chair Frank,
Yes.
Commissioner Dozier,
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez,
Yes.
Commissioner Fearing,
yeah,
Commissioner Meyer,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sanchez.
Yes.
All right,
Motion passes.
thank you. Council, is Mr. Rizal there?
Yes,
No?
we're back. This is, can you hear me?
Yes? Is this council?
We need to, yes, this is Ken Roselle, yes.
Oh, so would it be to recess rather than adjourn?
What we need to do now is we need to go to the next item relating to the Verizon Wireless. You need to open that item and then continue it to the date certain as well.
Perfect. And then once we do that, would this be a recess or an adjournment?
Just, we are going, you could just recess. It's our regular meeting, so you don't have to continue the meeting to the 15th. You're just continuing the hearing items.
Right, so it'll be a recess. Okay. Okay, thank you. So item F1 is continued to October 15. And we'll move to now our continued public hearings, item G1. This is planning and zoning permit number 18-530-01. It's a special use permit on the Verizon Danube wireless communications facility. Our planner is Jay Dobrowski.
Madam Chair, point of inquiry.
Commissioner Chavez. Oh, we're not even going, we don't even have to call him. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Sorry, just a point of inquiry. On the last item, we did have Pat Brown wanting to speak. Did we have to take her comments now or for the recess?
It'll have to be after the recess. Because we're not at
Okay.
public comment yet.
Then
So
I'll make the motion.
the motion,
Okay. Motion to continue
motion on
the Verizon
Verizon.
Dunview.
okay. Second,
I'll
anybody?
second it. I'll second it.
Fearing, second. Chavez,
Just for the
motion. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Ken Roselle. Could we, just to clarify that the motion is continue the Verizon public hearing to October 15th?
That's what he's going to say. Yes. Right, Commissioner
Great, just wanted
Chavez?
to make sure the record is clear.
Thank you.
Yes,
Commissioner Chavez, that's your motion.
yes, that's the motion, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And we have a second by Fearing.
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Chavez,
Yes.
Commissioner Fearing,
Yes.
Commissioner Dozier,
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sanchez,
Yes.
Chair Frank.
Yes. Thank you.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We'll move to item H. I don't think, do we have any study session reports? No. Item I, Planning Commission business. I don't have any business. If I did, it's hard to communicate it right now. So let's move to item J, Community Development Staff Updates. Mr. Kolowitz.
Two very brief items. Your next meeting is clearly October 15th at 6 o'clock. And this is another reminder that on October 22nd, we're holding the housing element update and sites inventory meeting. That starts at 6 o'clock. It's also a virtual meeting. And you pre-register for that one by making a request through the Ask Planning email address on our website.
By the what address?
Our planning at oxnard.org email address. It's on our website.
Okay. Well, I'm requesting to be part of that.
Okay.
So just get me the link or something. Okay.
Very good.
All right. So other than that, we will stand in recess until October 15th. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Chair.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Chair.